Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profit podcast, where each week we discuss what it takes to live a life of purpose and profit, and we talk to the people who are doing just that. I'm Darren Green, and as always, I've got my co-host, Chris Dowdell. How are you doing, Chris?
Very well, fine. Thank you. Actually, a bit of a Wi-Fi issue, but not bad at all.
Yeah, we've got you for now at least, so hopefully it continues. This week, I am delighted to welcome Angela McKillop onto the podcast, someone who has impacted both Chris and I's business journey over the last couple of years, someone we're phenomenally grateful to. So it's great to actually bring her in and grill her for an hour. And yeah, Angela's got such an interesting story. So she's multiple business owner, currently runs We Love Your Projects group, and yeah, has came through such adversity, had a very successful business well over 10 years ago, and then lost it. So we wanted to get into a bit of that mindset again. How do you come through that level of adversity, I guess, right up to the current success that you're enjoying just now? Welcome at the podcast.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I'm delighted to be here. So it's really nice to chat, and obviously I know you both really well. So it's nice that we're going to have a nice, comfortable chat. It's right up my street, I said before we came on today. So Top Spec was a construction company that my husband and I built from scratch. Started off doing tiny little bathrooms, kitchens, and built it up to be really quite successful, multi-million-pound turnover, a lot of staff, a lot of headaches, and we actually did come through the financial crisis in 2008. We actually won quite a number of large contracts, and that seen us through. So we're very, very lucky. And then it was sort of 10 years later in 2016 that the company actually collapsed. And, it's the $1 million question that everybody always says, what happened? And it took us probably a good year or two to actually really figure that out, because we weren't sure how could this company go from being super successful with a fantastic reputation to, gone. It was just gone. So yeah, I mean, the answer to that is what happened was two major things that played a part in the collapse of the company. The first one was that we didn't spread the risk. We had one or two really, really big clients that we put all our time and effort into, and we forgot about everyone else. We forgot to network, we forgot to market the business, and obviously over time that has a huge impact. So that was the first reason. The second reason was we actually let the focus drop a little bit. I think we thought we'd built this business and it was just going to keep going. The clients were going to keep coming, the profit was going to keep growing, the turnover was going to grow. And actually, that is what the main thing that I tell people now. It's do not underestimate the power of consistency, the power of doing the basic foundational stuff that makes your business work. I feel that people are so excited to get on to the next thing and what else? And absolutely 50% of your time should go into adapting and changing, but 50% of your time really should go into being consistent and applying the basic foundations of business, what works. And we didn't do that. So that's really what happened to us. How did we come back from that? My goodness, it was not easy. It was the hardest thing that we ever had to do, because it is all about mindset. Every single day in business is about mindset. And we lost that. We lost the ability to think logically. We lost the ability to be motivated, and when we look back now, we're making really, really silly decisions because we couldn't actually see the woods for the trees. So we started off small. I started surrounding myself with really successful people again. I put myself out there. I was really vulnerable. I told my story. And there was a lot of people that sort of gave us advice. I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos. And slowly I started to find myself picking up that little bit of motivation and a little bit of drive. And I suppose a little bit of hope was the word. Because you think when that happens that's it, it's game over. You're never going to be the same person again. You're never going to have a business again. So to get that little bit of hope day in, day out, so I just really started feeding myself with motivational people, stories, books, podcasts, YouTubes, whatever it took. And yeah, it started to gain momentum. And then I think the big thing for me was knowing that there was never a time where I thought about getting a job. There was always going to be another business. We just didn't know what it was. So that was a really positive thing for both Stephen and I. We knew that we still had something within us to make it work again. So a lot of slowly but surely, but obviously it's paid off. We are where we are now. So yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And even just listening to you, I still remember one thing you taught me early doors was the non-critical essentials.
Yeah.
If you remember that, and I was amazed that when you brought that up. I mean, I don't know if you want to explain that better than I probably can.
Yeah, so the non-critical essentials is something that I teach a lot of people who ask for advice. It was something that we implemented into our first company, and we obviously do it again now. We didn't actually know what it was at the time, but our sole focus with the construction company was having a different approach. Tradespeople get this reputation of being unreliable and messy, and their costs are too high. And I think a woman's touch on that was what really catapulted our business. And what I brought into play was, how would it be if we didn't just fit that kitchen and bathroom and, left it the way it was? How about we get a cleaning company in, and how about we clean the house from top to bottom and really leave that lasting impression? And actually what that is, it's a critical non-essential. It's not an essential part of your business. It's something that we chose to do, and actually the clients that we got off the back of that were phenomenal, and that's what people spoke about. Of course, they were happy with the kitchen and the bathroom, but that's what they came to us with. Oh, my neighbour said that you actually get a cleaning company in, is that right? So that's what we became known for, and we took it a step further. We started giving our clients a bottle of wine for their kitchen, flowers for their bathroom, all these things that people just don't forget, and they tell everyone about it. So that was a really, I had a huge impact on the growth of our business once we became really focused on it and realised that it worked.
I suppose it sets you apart as well, because it shows there's an element where you care as well about what you do, and you're not just in it for the money. And I guess, moving, like you say, in that environment must have been quite tough as well, trying to break down those kind of barriers that you have with the tradespeople. But how did you find it in that kind of environment? Did you love it?
Yeah, I think they hated me. I think they absolutely hated me to begin with. I think there was a lot of, what can she possibly teach us that we don't already know? And so that was really, really tough. But I think what I did have, a lot of people say when you're building a business, look at it through your customer's eyes. And it's so true, because I think that's what I did have. I thought I would hate for tradesmen to come in here and leave a mess. I don't like the handprints on the door handles or the footprints on the carpets. And, so actually what I did without even realising was looking at it through the customer's eyes. Yeah. And once I started explaining that to the boys that worked with us, and, explaining the impact that it had, they slowly started to get on board. And I think a major feel good for them was, they saw customers in tears because the house was immaculate and we'd left this amazing job, and we're handing them flowers and wine, and the guys got to be part of that. So then they start to feel it, and then that's what made them buy into it, because they're part of it. So the customers actually helped me convince the guys that this was a really good idea.
I mean, you do think, if you think about the expense, I guess, of putting in a new kitchen, flooring and stuff like that. I mean, I've had it countless times, and obviously in property as well. None of my trades guys do that, by the way, Angela, so it's maybe one for me to take away. But I personally, when I've always came into that, whether it's the bathroom done or whatever, there's that anticipation, oh, what's it going to look like? It's going to be fantastic. And then there's a big inch of stoor, or there's like, you need to spend the next few hours cleaning it until you enjoy it. It really just takes the magic, that feeling of, wow, that's what I've paid for, kind of thing. It takes the shine off of the purchase.
Absolutely, it really does. And that's what I wanted to achieve. I wanted, these families I wanted to create the picture that they had in their heads, because that's what they thought they were going to get. And it's like you said, Darren, it's like, there's silicone marks down the walls, and, they're steward, and they don't get that instant enjoyment, which is where the idea of the cleaning company came about, because we were recreating that picture and visualization that they'd spent months and months over and invested a lot of money in. So no, it was great. Best decision that we ever made.
Sorry, on you go, Chris.
No, I was going to just say, well, around to kind of bring us more up to date things. Obviously, that's where you've been and that's where you've grown. Yeah. And obviously, we met through the kind of coaching network. I don't know if you want to speak around that and bring us right up to date.
Yeah, so obviously, when we lost the business, we lost all purpose, really. We didn't know. I used to think it was really strange when people said that they didn't know who they were. I used to think that's what a strange thing to say.
Yeah.
And that's actually what happened to both of us. We didn't know what we were supposed to be doing. I didn't know what my daily routine was supposed to be. Nobody needed us anymore. The phone stopped ringing. So we completely lost all purpose. And this is where the start of our personal development journey came about, because we had to kind of find out a bit more about ourselves in order to progress. So I think we both went off and kind of did a bit of therapy without even realising it. Stephen put time and effort into a business that was, a bit of a hobby. It was never going to set the world alight, but he spent all his time and probably buried his head a little bit with it. And I went into the business coaching side of things because I thought I need to help as many people as I can, because I don't want anyone to go through what we've gone through. And actually, if we had better foundations in place and, better systems or whatever it was, then that would never have happened. So that became my therapy, really, was helping other people. And there is no better feeling in the world. You've got 12 people in a room. They're coming back month on month, reporting to you about how their business has grown, or, how their mindset's changed, or, the profits have increased. And, that was amazing for me. And actually, the business coaching groups and one-to-ones became part of my healing process. That's what really, really helped me come to terms with what happened. And then I really got to a point where, I'm sure we'll come on to it, but the We Love You project kicked off seriously about a year ago. And actually, I wish that Stephen and I had gone back into it much sooner, but we just were a bit broken and hurt and wounded. And you realise that Top Spec was the apprenticeship. And what we are doing now, we're taking everything we've learned, we've taken the big failure, we're plugging all the weaknesses, and we're growing at a rate of knots now. And it's so much more enjoyable because we know what we're doing. But partly because we've been on that self-development journey as well. So it got to a point last year where I thought, I'm either going to spend all my time helping other people do it, or I'm going to spend all my time helping us do it, which is where I am today. And I still get messages every single day from people asking for advice, and I love it. It's a hobby. I sit on a Friday night with a cup of tea replying to people, and I'm like, do this. And because that it's kind of on my terms and when I've got time, rather than, I've got 3 groups this week and I have to be there. And so it's quite nice that I get to do it as a bit of a hobby. And like I said, there is no better feeling in the world than helping other people.
Yeah, I mean, the title for our podcast, obviously, Purpose Over Profit, because both Chris and I kind of believe, listen, it's not purpose to replace profit. It's just that purpose is something that we think should sit at the heart, of everything that you do. And yes, you should absolutely want to make money out of it, but it's not the be all and end all. But yeah, you've been like a part-time mentor to me in the past. I don't think I've ever paid you, but obviously, Jill, you've coached Jill. Jill's been on your program, and yeah, obviously, so she takes me through all of the exact same materials. And we've had a good few conversations as well, even over lockdown and stuff, which I've been really, really grateful for. But it's really nice to hear you talk about it. It's just it's more like a hobby for you now.
Absolutely, that side of it, 100%. I love doing it. It's great to be able to be in a position to give that advice to other people.
Yeah.
And obviously there is an emotional trigger there, because if someone messages me and they'll say, that's the last 3 months business hasn't made any money, or I'm feeling really low, and I'm right in there. I'm like, right, let's get this fixed, because it doesn't need to be like that. And small, simple changes can completely turn a business around. So I get quite passionate about it. And you know, Stephen will sit at the weekend and he'll say to me, who are you speaking to now? And I'm like, oh, it's this girl, you know, she's doing this and she's doing that. And he's like, right, okay, that's been an hour. And I'm like, I know, but like, think how she's going to feel after this conversation. And if I've made an impact on her, like, that's a feel good for me. I love it. So yeah, it's definitely, it became a bit of a hobby. The project side, yeah, it is. I have a lot of purpose in that as well. And I think previously, Darren, we touched on, you know, what is the split? Is how much is purpose and how much is profit? And I think, you know, with the projects business, it is a large group now. We've got 18 staff directly employed by the group now. So it's grown very, very quickly. And obviously, I am responsible for 18 people in terms of how they pay their mortgage and their families. And, you know, that comes with a bit of pressure as well, obviously. So, of course, the profits have to play a part, and it can't all be purpose, because I do believe that if you're focused solely on your purpose and you're away having a good time and fun and helping all these people, and you get to the end of the month and there's no money there, then effectively it is a hobby. And that's not what we're building here. We're building a business, not just for us, but for other people. So I think you absolutely have to get that balance of, yes, you have your purpose and you have fun with it, which is my purpose, and help as many people as you can along the way. But ultimately, if you drop profits, you don't have a business. You need to keep an eye on those numbers. And again, that comes through experience as well of what's happened in the past.
I'm interested because you mentioned the word fun there, and straight away, the first day I met you, I pretty much was laughing for the first 20 minutes of the conversation before we even chatted about how we could probably help me develop as a person and my business as well. But one thing you touched upon was, like, obviously you started taking the other business, the coaching business, a year ago, kind of took a sidestep and you focused on this business. Did the pandemic in any way make that decision a bit easier for you, because all this kind of coaching aspect is more kind of one-to-one, kind of in person? And if that is then removed, did that make it a bit of an easier decision to then focus on a business that was easier for you and Stephen to become more of a formidable force and take all that experience?
Yeah, to be honest, Chris, it did and it didn't, because I think we're all aware that in the first lockdown, everything stopped. It didn't matter what industry you were in. You know, if you were in business, it was a scary time and it was a risky time to do anything. So I think absolutely the time element helped me make that transition, because Stephen and I got a lot of time to talk and plan and, you know, map out where we were going. So it definitely made it easier in that sense, but not so much for the reasons that I've just said, because whatever path we took at that time was always going to be a risky one. So yeah, bit of both, didn't.
I just want to go back for a minute, if that's okay, Angela, way back to probably the dark days where you probably don't want to spend too much time thinking about. But I'm interested, I guess, a couple of things. But first off, like, how bad did it get for you, and how long before you started entering into that kind of almost therapy through work?
Yeah, I think probably the first 6 months was probably the hardest time after losing the business. The first maybe month, there was just a lot of no emotion, really, which sounds really strange, but there was a definite numbness there. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion, and, you know, the why us, the victim mentality. We spent a lot of time feeling sorry for ourselves, and that was the biggest waste of time. And that is, I don't have regrets in life. That's my one regret in life, that I spent far too long licking my wounds and having this victim mentality about why us, because we weren't in the right frame of mind to think how we were going to get ourselves out of it, because every day that we woke up, everything just felt a bit heavier and you know, just worse all round. So yeah, I think initially the first 6 months was horrible. It did get really, really dark, and you know, I've spoke openly about this because, again, I do want to help people. I know in the middle of this pandemic there might be people sitting, you know, in a dark place and wondering how they are going to get out of it, and that's why I talk about it. I think it's important to be honest. People are very good at looking at the positives and seeing where we are today. We're in a very good position today. We're very lucky, and I feel grateful for that every single day. But I won't ever forget what we went through, and I won't forget those darkest days, and I do want to share it. And I think one of the hardest things for me was Stephen and I have obviously been in business for years and years. And since the day that I met him, he was always very strong, very powerful, determined. He had a lot of really, really good qualities. He could hold a room, people respected him, and that is the guy that I married. And in these dark days, I mean, there was days where I was having to literally encourage him to get out of bed because he was so low. And I do think it is actually a bit worse for a man to go through that. I think girls are better about opening up, you know, with their emotions. And I think Stephen's pride was hurt. I think he was disappointed in himself because, you know, his main role was looking after him, his family, and, you know, we had a son, obviously. So I think it really, really hit him hard. And that was the lowest point for me, was seeing what he was going through as well, and not actually being able to help him other than try and talk him through it and encourage him and just hope for the best. So yeah, there was some really, really dark times, and there was a lot of really horrible conversations that we sat and had. And yeah, I'll never forget it. And even now, speaking about it, I have this feeling in the pit of my stomach. There'll be a lot of hypnotherapists out there, or NLP people, that'll be like, come and see me, I'll get rid of that for you. But you know, it's actually became the driver, that horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. It's what makes me get up out of bed every morning. It's what makes me make decisions fast and push and grow. And because that little feeling there, it's a feeling that I don't ever want to have again. I don't ever want to go back there. So it's became a driver now. But yeah, like some really, really dark times, really dark times. It was awful.
And you touched upon Stephen, so obviously I've known him through some of the coaching stuff, and I can never imagine him being that kind of person, because he always seems the one cracking the jokes, or the cheeky chap in the corner,
Yeah.
which always keeps you going as well. But I guess, what's it like being in business with your partner as well? Because obviously you've been together, how long is it, since you were teenagers, is that right?
My goodness, yeah, since we were teenagers, so long time. We kind of grew up together as well, and gone through all these different stages in life at different times.
Wow.
So yeah, I think we've done really, really well to have come through all of that and still be together. But we've got a very, very strong relationship. The failure of the business actually did bring us a lot closer as well. And we're very, very lucky to have each other. But my goodness, in the early days, starting a business together was not easy. We're very, very different. Stephen's very analytical, logical thinker. I'm very creative. I'm a risk taker. So, you know, you put that together, and sometimes it works really, really well. And other times, you know, you're coming against each other. So, yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit that in the early days, it was not easy. And I'm just going to share this because I think, like I say, my thing is about being authentic. I like to be 100% real. So yeah, one day I went in and I swiped absolutely everything off his desk in our office, like laptop, phone, notebooks, you name it, through pure and utter frustration of him telling me what to do. So we've came from that place to where we are now, and you know, that's been a journey in
which
itself.
is from what I can see on Instagram, you jumping out at Stephen when he's coming into the office every other morning.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Still doing it, but just it's a bit more lighthearted, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But look, I think the bigger picture is we've obviously had to learn a lot, and what we've realised is we have exactly the same end goals, and that's really, really important. And that makes the day-to-day and week-to-week stuff a hell of a lot easier, because you make decisions based on the end goal and based on the business. And sometimes I'll give and sometimes he'll give. But the majority of the time now, we're absolutely on the same page. And again, that comes from the failure of the business, because we don't want to waste any time. There's no petty arguments. There's none of that now, but it's taken a long time to get there.
So what is that end vision? You're saying, like, you know what the end goal, you've got the same end goal. What does that look like? How much can you share with us in terms of where would you be, say, 10 years from now? Yeah,
I think the company has been structured in such a way that, you know, we can sell parts of it off if that was going to be an opportunity for us. Ultimately, that's not in the short-term plan. Initially, what we want to do is I want to have, 100 people in the business. I want to have 100 people that have an opportunity to grow with the business and progress. That's a big goal. Obviously, each individual company under the group absolutely will be multi-million-pound turnover. Some of them are not far away now. So yeah, that's the kind of vision for us. And obviously what I spoke about with Top Spec, I want to make sure that we are the go-to company. I want to be reliable. I want to be trustworthy. I want to be competitive. And you're never going to get 100% customer satisfaction. It's a very, very difficult thing to achieve, especially when you are growing a company. But ultimately, it's about our customers knowing that our intentions are good, our intentions are honest, and that's what I want to be. I want to be this go-to construction / trade group company that people know that they can trust and rely on.
I think the people working with you as well, or working for you at this point in time, are probably lucky enough that they've got somebody with that kind of background between you and Stephen, and being able to kind of give them the expertise and show them the way as well. And I think that's a fantastic niche to have as well in that area. So, and that must come when people see your previous industry experience to see what you're doing now, and that reliability and trust must come over with those clients as well.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. And from an employee's perspective as well, it's good to actually bring the mindset stuff into it, because it's not all about targets and profits and customers and phone calls. It's about what is it that actually makes you happy? Why do you want to be here? Where do you see yourself in a year's time? Let's work together to make that happen. And already that's paying off. We get massive compliments from our employees that work for us just now, and that's an instant feel good. People have said that it's like working for family. We had one of the engineers say, I've never had bosses like this, where they want to have fun and they're easy to approach, and and that's massive for us, because people spend a lot of time at work, and I want them to be happy. I want them to feel they can come to us with absolutely anything. So and that's something that Stephen and I talk a lot about out with working hours, about how we can make things better for staff, and who's happy, who's not, who's dropped off a little bit, if you notice the difference in them, and it's about picking up the phone and saying, is everything okay? We've just noticed. And 9 times out of 10, there is something, because we work so closely with them that we get to know them all really, really personally. So we can pick up on these things. And I think that's really important, especially in this day and age. Is
it harder, I mean, stay with me now, is it harder now that you've got HR as part of your team? Because I remember when the coaching sessions where it was all about focus, you had to speak to your partner across from you and not break that concentration. And I remember you saying, I'll be testing you. At one point, a pen flew by my eyelids. I couldn't believe it at some point. It was just to make sure you didn't break concentration. So, but that was a fun element. And I always remember that from the networking stuff you did. It was always about that fun. If it wasn't fun, there was no point in doing it. And it must be quite a good environment to work in as well.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? We had someone put a CV across to us this morning, and we actually called them as a position that we're looking to fill. And he said to us, we said, where did you actually hear about us? And he said, I see you on LinkedIn and I see your wife on Instagram. I follow the company pages. He said, I'll just be honest with you. He said, you just look like a great company to work for. I want to be part of that. And I thought, that's absolutely brilliant. That's what we want to get across. So, and that's just happened this morning, where this guy off his own back sent that in, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And actually, he doesn't know it yet. I don't want to say too much. Well, actually, we will be able to speak to him, but this will be out first. So, and I'll be able to speak to him first. But we're going to offer him that position now, because just in 15 minutes on the phone, he just ticked all the boxes. So this is somebody that we're going to bring into the company and give them a fantastic opportunity. But that's through, we've attracted that, rather than going out and looking for it and advertising. I mean, we advertise for other roles as well, but I think ultimately it needs to be about attraction. You focus on what you're doing, you focus on your purpose that we keep speaking about, and you attract the right people. So that was a nice wee one this morning. I'm pleased about that.
Fantastic. Lots of pressure, Angela, though. I hope you don't discover any sort of skeletons in his closet her closet between now and now and when this comes out. It could be a bit embarrassing, but no, I'm sure it'll all be good. Yeah, I mean, I seen something before Christmas. You were doing this random acts of kindness, I think, in the office, but it's not even trying to make the work itself, obviously interesting and engaging and purposeful from that point of view, but it's all the other things that you can be doing about being a good human at the workplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a great challenge that we got involved in. And, you know, it's about, there was a couple of things. Obviously, it's a feel good for Stephen and I. It's something that we do pretty much most days. Like I say, it comes back to the helping people. It doesn't actually take a lot to be kind to someone. So it's getting into this habit, and it's about spreading that across the group as well. And, you know, a lot of people have never been introduced to this mindset of, you know, being kind and being grateful and being positive. It's alien to them. So it's quite nice to see the change in them as well. And they're actually starting to think for themselves. So, you know, we'll get stories about, oh, I said this to a customer, or I just dropped that into a customer. Oh, I'm feeling great about it. So it's a bit of a win-win, because we're spreading that kindness. But ultimately, you know, if people are happy at their work, they're doing better, they're more productive, you know, so it is a bit of a win-win.
You're completely right. It's the culture. If you've got the culture right in an organisation, then people want to join you. And the fact that you've seen that from a social media piece, and that will continue to grow, which is fantastic. You'll start getting even more people like yourself joining the business that love that kind of aspect of fun, but at the same time want to set goals as well. Because I always remember you said your goals need to be emotional. If they're not emotional, there's no point in having the goals. And I remember people in a room talking about their goals and crying because they realised how deep that emotion went, which is fantastic as well. I want to touch upon something, because you mentioned the family aspect, and obviously I remember before you guys mentioned that when you're sitting at the breakfast table with your son, you'd say something like, at the breakfast table, we're going to have a good day today. I can't remember the exact terminology you used, but how is that mindset working?
What is it you're most looking forward to about school today?
That was it. So you're encouraging that mindset from early doors. And how important is that, do you think, in the younger generation, or even the children of our own children, sorry?
Yeah, I think it's super important. You know, I'm sure we've all seen these quotes flying about teach your children, you know, what you didn't know, and that's what we're trying to do. Sometimes, you know, we wonder if we're taking it too far, because so Riley is 8. He's very, very switched on, very aware. Overhears everything about business, and it's just amazing what they pick up. But yeah, sometimes I think, does he hear too much? You know, we sent him into the shop, and he was negotiating with the guy for 2 euros, and I thought, this is maybe got to a different level. So it was like, if I buy 2 of these and I give you £1, is that like a good deal? And it's a local shop, the guy knows who we are, so, you know, he found it absolutely hilarious. And I thought, maybe they hear too much. And yeah, so Riley, lockdown for us, we've taught him a lot. Obviously, we'll do his homework and his homeschooling, but we teach him about profit and loss. We teach him about employing people and why we employ people. And he really understands a lot. He'll do things to make money. He'll go out and help us, you know, in the business, and he'll earn money. So yeah, I mean, I suppose you always question whether you're doing the right thing, and whether you're teaching them the right stuff. But I sort of base it on whatever he comes and asks me, then I'll give him the information, because that shows that he's interested in it. But yeah, we try and teach him the basics to give him a little bit of a head start. And he's already saying that he'll have his own business. He doesn't want a job. He wants to have his own business. He does want to be the next multimillionaire YouTuber. So I'm like, hey, if that's what you want to do, you do it. But yeah, he spends all his time, you know, learning how to do videos. He's got like a little kit and things like that, and he watches tutorials. And so I think all of that, I absolutely support it. If that's what he wants to do, then awesome.
Fantastic. Wow.
And it's so different. Like, if you think about, just, it's not even a generation ago, but your outlook in terms of what was in the jobs market, that there wouldn't have been YouTubers, influencers, all of this stuff. And if you think, like, so what are the roles or jobs that people will need in 20 years time? It's very blurry. Yeah. It's hard to see, like, with any sort of confidence. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. So yeah, totally. Okay, it's holding that space, helping him think for himself. But it sounds like he's got a good apprenticeship there in terms of the fundamentals of business management. So he should be landing on his feet regardless of what he does.
Hopefully.
It sounds like Sounds like maybe on Junior Apprentice at some point as well. Taking Alan Sugar's seat by the sounds of it. I'm amazed to see what he gets out of the kind of corner shop going forward as well.
Absolutely.
So looking at you mentioned mindset there and a bit about how you instill that in O'Reilly. I guess I've seen you on Instagram, like a big shift, definitely in terms of fitness, health and fitness, but you've always been, as long as I've known you, very strong on the mindset and positivity and gratitude, and about you taking the responsibility effectively on yourself to change your state. But do you have a morning routine? Do you have what type of things do you do to kind of get you into that sort of state to go and, win at life, I guess?
Yeah, so I don't have a very strict morning routine. The only thing that I do without fail every single day is an early rise, because it's just a game changer. The getting up at sort of 5:30 in the morning and getting some work in and just planning out your day, before the rest of the house wakes up, it's just been a game changer. So that's the one thing that I do religiously day in, day out. Everything else, I know what works. I've started this sort of cold water therapy, the cold showers.
I'm going to ask you about Wim Hof.
I had
Wim Hof down there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a killer. I've got one of these ice baths arriving this week, so I'll see how I go on with that. But yeah, it's a killer, but it really does have a great impact. It wakes you up. You feel amazing when you get out. So cold showers is a thing. I start gratitude every morning because I do think it sets you up for the day. And it just really depends what I've got on. But, I have a list of all the things that work. Obviously, exercise is proven that it does work. I try and get out walking in the morning, really passionate about my horses. So if I've got time to get up there and ride the horse, I'll do that. But yeah, everything that it tells you to do, it does work. This getting into the right mindset, and there's nothing worse. And I did used to be that person where, the alarm went off at maybe 7:45 and you got up and grab a shower and throw your clothes on and go out, no breakfast, no exercise, not even a thought for what the day's going to look like. And I wonder how I got by. So yeah, I'm very, very strict now about having that time in the morning, just even if it's quiet time sometimes, just to reflect on, what's been going on this week, or, what the rest of the week's going to look like, or just a wee bit of reading sometimes, just to get you in the correct mindset. Because I think, we're not robots. And yes, I'm a positive person, but positive people have hard days. So it's not about, once you get to this stage in life where you understand the mindset that you're just this happy, fluffy person day in, day out. No, you need to work at it, and you cannot control what goes on in the external world. Shit happens. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. Yeah,
all right. It's not going out to kids, Angela, so you're all right. I love how quickly you corrected it, though.
Yeah, so things happen, and you need to be in control. You need to know how to respond to these things, and sometimes for me it is allowing myself to have that 5 minutes of being a bit pissed off, or having a little bit of a rant, and then I'm like, right, that's it, move on now, get to the next stage. So yeah, I don't have a strict routine, but the early rise has been a complete and utter game changer for me.
Is that because, obviously, you mentioned the people that probably, you used to be one, I used to be one as well, that got up quite late. I'd sometimes make the train, grab something to eat and be in work, and you wouldn't realise you even got there. But I guess during this time when everyone's either working at home, it's sometimes worse for people that maybe get up at the last minute and just logging on straight away and just moving the mouse to show that they're actually active when they're actually not active. So I guess that's quite hard as well. But I want to go back to the Wim Hof stuff, because one of my friends started doing it a while ago, actually, and he swears by it as well. He loves it. But I remember listening to Wim Hof and the Chris Evans show on Virgin Radio. It was one of the funniest interviews I've ever heard, and I've started checking them out, and I want to do it as well. But what was for people who don't know the Wim Hof stuff, do you want to explain it before we jump into it?
Yeah, so I basically watched it was the James English podcast on Wim Hof, and I absolutely loved it. The guy's mindset and attitude about life is fantastic. He's just very easy to listen to. So basically he does a lot of cold water therapy, and I don't want to give too much of it away. I like people to hear it sort of firsthand, because it's really, really inspirational. But he talks a lot about the benefits of the cold water therapy. The other thing that he talks about is he does a lot of breathing techniques, and it is a form of meditation. which again is part of my routine, not every single day, but I definitely meditate. And these are all things that I thought, 4 years ago were fluffy and woo-woo and, whatever terminology you want to describe it. But yeah, I mean, these things are game-changing. Wim Hof is a very inspirational person. And the reason that I really liked him was one of his stories was that he used to go pick the kids up from school and he'd be outside, doing a handstand and, up against the wall. And he said all these parents were like, who is this weird guy and why is he doing this stuff? But he was the guy who was completely calm and control of his emotions and control of his thoughts. And for years and years, everybody thought he was weird up until it caught on. And then people were like, oh, so that's what benefits you get. And that's why you're a happier person. And so now, he's created a business out of it. He's got his apps, he's got coaches that are certified. He's got, I think he does ice baths and things. So, he's made a business out of it and he's been very successful, but you can just tell it's not really about that for him. The business has been a bonus. He is so focused on being calm and happy and living his life to his full potential that the business has just been an added bonus for him. So yeah, really inspirational guy. I'm not going to give anything else away.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your Instagram post about your ice bath that's coming as well. That'll be an interesting one as well.
I just thought clearly there'll be a lot more to it, but there's definitely something else in it for me around just getting you present. Like, I can't remember who's told me this, but it's like if someone slapped you in the face, like that brings you right around to being present. I wonder if there's something in there around the more present we are about certain things, whether it's meditation, ice baths or whatever, just bringing you so you're not thinking about the future or living in the past. You're kind of there. It's really difficult, I'd imagine, to be in an ice bath and be thinking about what your shopping's going to be or any sort of business problem you're potentially going to have in the next couple of hours. You're kind of just there breathing and try to get through it.
Totally. Now, one thing that I want to touch on with all this stuff is that, again, for someone listening to this who's maybe not, used to hearing all these sort of buzzwords like, present and meditation, and, it is fluffy and it's quite frightening if you've not had experience of that before. But Stephen and I were chatting about this at the weekend and we said it's really, really interesting that, and again, it comes back to what I said about the business. If you go off and try and do absolutely everything, that becomes your sole focus. So, if you're trying to get your 10,000 steps in, if you're trying to meditate for 20 minutes, you're trying to do your ice bath, you're trying to do your gratitude journal, blah, 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 it becomes a full-time job. And actually, then you forget about what your purpose is. Your purpose is getting you in the right headspace to do whatever it is you're doing, whether that be build a business or get the correct balance between your family, whatever that is. So I think it's really, really important to dedicate maybe a time in your day that you're going to allocate to that, and just actually understand and appreciate that you can't do it all and not to beat yourself up about it, which is why I don't have this really, really strict routine. Because if I had to fit in absolutely everything, it would be 1 o'clock before I open my laptop, and that's not going to do. So it's about responding to how you feel when you wake up in the morning. And I'm not a routine person. I don't like the same old. I like variety. So it's quite nice to wake up and think, am I going to do a wee bit of guided meditation today? Am I going to do a wee bit of reading? Am I going to get out a walk in the rain? It's nice to have that choice. And I think if you're hitting 1 or 2 of these things every single day, it's absolutely going to have an effect and an impact on you. So it's about getting control of, don't think you need to do all of these new techniques that people are introducing. It becomes a full-time job. So
I love that. There's definitely something in there about, like, I recognized doing Miracle Morning for about 18 months, 2 years solid, and then just feeling completely overwhelmed by it in the sense that I was resenting doing it rather than the benefit it was kind of getting from going through it. And I was maybe rushing some of the exercises because I was thinking the kids are going to get up, so I need to get this one done. I need to do my meditation, and I wasn't completely present. So yeah, for me, I've completely stripped that back. So I try and meditate regularly. Again, I'm not every day, although I'm doing a challenge, but exercise is definitely one for me, almost meditative in terms of the state that it puts me in. Again, just if I'm running and blowing, I can't be thinking too much. Sometimes subconscious is working, but I'm not anxious. I'm not thinking about the past or the future. I'm kind of just focusing on the next few steps. So yeah, there's definitely something in not letting whatever new fads or your routines or stuff like that everyone else is doing. Find out what works for you. There'll be maybe one or two of those that actually fit really well, and most of it might just not be for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's critical. I think that's critical because I guess we've both touched upon it. We both have, where it's about having time for yourself as well. It's having that time, even like my kids as well, because of homeschooling and you're all together all the time. My daughter will say to me, Dad, I just need some time apart from you guys. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, no worries, up you go. And she does a little bit of meditating now. She's 8 as well, and she's quite into the meditating. My son, who's 6, isn't into meditating. He likes just disrupting it completely. But his meditating is running about the garden, being crazy. So it just depends on what works for each age as well. So I think it's all about giving yourself time and being relaxed enough to know you can make mistakes and actually have time out and just get away from the family as well, in the best way possible, that is.
Absolutely. No, it's the balance, isn't it? And it's about getting it right. So no, you're absolutely right.
Cool. So I've just got one last question, and we've got a bit of a quick fire round actually, just to bring in specifically for you to bring in a bit of fun, to be honest, which you don't know about. But the last question, you touched on it previously, but purpose over profit, really keen to understand. You mentioned a split earlier, that both are really important. You can't just be one or other. Where do you see that split? Do you see purpose over profit? What's your sort of take on that?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it is a 50-50 split. I think the purpose of the business dominates quite a lot of our conversations. Stephen and I's, it's about, where we're going, what we're going to achieve, how we're going to achieve that, who are we going to help along the way, what opportunities does it bring for us and for other people. So I think the purpose of the business is really, really important, obviously. Purpose personally, I know you touch on this as well, Darren, about your own sort of personal values. I think you need to fulfill that. For me, it's about fun, it's about excitement, and I bring that into business, hence why you'll see the Instagram videos of me jumping out on people from behind doors, and because it doesn't need to be completely serious. We can get work done while having a bit of a laugh at the same time. So yeah, I bring a lot of my personal values into the purpose of the day-to-day running of the business as well, and that works quite nice. But in terms of the profit, yeah, we have that allocated time. We have quarterly meetings with our accountant to make sure that the profit and loss in each individual business is exactly where it should be. We set targets. We give the girls in the office targets to work towards. They get bonuses dependent on that, and it's made into a game. Even that's fun because they get to pick a sticker every time they tick a box with a target, and it's just a nice visual for them to see, and it just brings a bit of fun into the office. Plus, they're being rewarded as well, and obviously it goes hand in hand with the growth of the business. So it's things like this that we try and do. We don't. You'll both probably know this, Chris, maybe more than Darren, but I am just not by the book whatsoever. I have a completely different working style, a completely different way of building and growing a business, and it's not for everyone. There are people that don't like the way that I operate. They think it's too much fun, there's too much laughter, and for me it works, and the proof is in the pudding when you sit down and look at that P&L every quarter. The business is growing at a rate of knots. There's people that want to come and work with us, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we can provide opportunities. So yeah, I think 50-50 split, profit and loss, and for me years ago was something that I didn't want anything to do with. I wasn't particularly interested in numbers. I don't like spreadsheets. But now I've made that fun. My accounts manager in the office, she's like horrified because every column's got a colour and all my little targets get stickers, and she's like, no, colour means that there's things that need to be done. And I'm like, no, colour's like nice, it's creative, it's fun. So I've just kind of tried to make it my own, and picked people. Our accountant that we meet with is phenomenal. She's a great sense of humour. It's not all doom and gloom and numbers and gross profit margins, and let's get a bit of life and soul into this meeting. It doesn't need to be boring. Let's just make it a bit fun, you know, and we can get through it in an hour, and the rest of the time is talking about what we're doing at the weekend and how the families are and, you know, what's happening. And that's super important for me. So the people play a big part. I can't work with people who are really negative or, you know, boring, or I like that fun injected. So I suppose the people aspect's really important for me too. Sorry, Darren, I've kind of sidetracked a wee bit, but yeah, purpose and profit, 50-50 split.
I love that. I love the 50-50 split. I love how you've detailed that. And it is about knowing both, being really clear on your purpose. But when you were talking about profit, I'm going, yeah, but you've even made that fun. You didn't really like, but you really made that fun. And then you just went on and said it. So, which made me laugh. So no, I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's a good place to segue into the perspective.
I was going to just jump on that wee second, Darren, because I thought it was really important when you said something. Sorry, Darren. You said something about even when you pick the people to work with, like the accountant, and you chat about the business, but then you chat about the kind of life environment and what you do in the weekend. And I see that very much in business as well. That's part of the purpose of having fun, where the business part can be part of the conversation, but it's normally the smallest part, where it's the kind of part that let's get through the bit, talk about what we need to talk to, and then the next 45 minutes can just be about life and general fun and everything else. And I think that's a big part of business as well, where if you've got that relationship with clients and people, then that makes it more rewarding, and that makes you kind of drive yourself forward as well. So
totally, 100%, Chris, agree.
Cool. So fun, Darren, go for it.
Fun. How do you want to do this?
My problem was that I like alliteration, and Darren obviously doesn't like alliteration, so I'd stuck a lot of names down here. So
Chris put some on here, and I thought they needed amended.
Shit, I think he thought.
Well, no, I think they were mainly pretty good. Don't beat yourself up too hard.
So I'll go for the first one, right? So quick fire round. What did you call this, Darren? Hell yeah, hell no.
We love your perspective. Quick fire round. There you go.
Cool. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. Prosecco and Pamper, or pictures and popcorn?
Prosecco and Pamper.
With Stephen or alone?
With Stephen. Good business chat.
There was a pause there, Chris, I noticed. Mark, Bieber or Beyonce?
Oh. Do I have to pick one?
Both of it. Barry White or Bieber?
I think it needs to be Beyonce. I think she's a wee bit more inspirational. Yeah.
Horse riding or house party? Party when COVID goes away.
See, my personality would be horse riding at a house party, you see, so it's a difficult one.
A house party horse riding event, cool.
Yeah, I think it needs to be horse riding. Too many benefits. The outdoors, the exercise, the sort of being present, lots of benefits to that.
Right, we're going old school now. Goonies or Stand By Me?
Stand By Me.
Oh, wow.
Good choice.
Okay, this is
great. Horrified.
Well, let's stick in the TV theme then. EastEnders or anything else, please?
Anything else, please. I don't watch TV.
Don't watch TV.
That's a real easy one. What about books, audiobook or paper book?
Going to be a bit controversial here. It depends on the subject. If it's something that I really need to concentrate on, I like an audiobook with a pen and paper so that I can take notes while I'm listening to it, and I feel it really stays in my head. If it's something that I'm just reading and it's a general interest, a businessy book or a biography, then just regular paperback.
Cool. What about, would you go to Glastonbury or would you prefer to go somewhere like Greece and chill out?
Do you know what? I've done my years at Tea in the Park, so I would need to be go and chill out now. I'm definitely at that age.
Cool. Yeah. And we'll maybe give you another couple. Let's see, actually. Porsche or Merc?
Porsche.
Porsche. Why Porsche?
It's my favourite.
Is it? Oh, a certain model?
I've got a Cayenne, which we just got a couple of months ago. I'm looking out as if you guys can see. And yeah, that was kind of on the goals list, so that's a nice one to tick off.
Can I admit to you what was there before? It was Porsche or Peugeot. That's an easy one, right?
That definitely needed amending. Yeah.
That's my alliteration, I know.
Right.
And last one, Daz?
Last one, Nando's or Wagamamas? You're going to say neither again.
Wagamamas.
Wagamamas.
Good shout.
Wagamamas. Didn't even need to think about that. The little, what do you call the wee edamame beans.
Oh, yeah. I love the gyozas. Used to love duck gyozas, but vegetarian now, so gutted.
How do veggie ones, Chris? You're okay?
Never taste the same though.
Right, I don't know how fun that was, but that's a quick fire round anyway. But listen, the times went absolutely flying past. It's been amazing having you on, Angela. Just wondering, what sort of, is there any message you'd like to leave any of the listeners? Anyone potentially thinking about their purpose or struggling over the period with COVID and lockdown, etc.? Any message you'd want to leave with them?
Yeah, I think big thing that helped me, years ago after the sort of collapse of the business, in any tough times, really, really important to reach out to anyone, someone. What I always say about successful people, 9 times out of 10, they are actually more than willing to help and give you that bit of advice. I think a lot of people are put off, or they're too busy, or they maybe don't want to speak to me, or don't be put off by that. Reach out and ask someone a question. It could be the best question or the best connection that you've ever made. And equally, if it's not a role model or a successful person, just reaching out and speaking to someone, I think, is super important. Especially during these current times. Like I say, yes, we've experienced a massive growth spurt. We've been very, very lucky, and we're very grateful for that. But it's not came without its problems and doubts and headaches and tough days. So it's important to reach out and speak to people in this sort of current climate. So that would be my strongest bit of advice just now.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. And how can people find you, Angela, if they want to follow you on Instagram or We Love Your Project? How can they see you?
Yep, so the businesses all have their own Facebook pages, and me personally, my sort of most time in a platform is Instagram. That's my kind of go-to. I sort of live a lot of my life on there as well. My stories showing people what we're up to, and it comes with the good and the bad as well. So Instagram, just Angela McKillop 1, I think I am. So I'm on there too.
Fantastic.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much, Angela. Good seeing you.
Thank you so much, guys.
As always, thank you so much for listening to the Pop Pod this week. If you'd like to leave a review or share the podcast with others, then that'd be awesome. You'll find us on Instagram at the Pop Pod, and on Facebook we have a community group called Purpose to Progress that anyone can join. And we'll be back every Monday with a new episode, but until then, stay on purpose, and we'll see you next week.